Taigturn 2000 video, we're going to be working with the Mach 3 software. We're going to be setting our home position. We're going to adjust our tool bit height in relationship to the center line of the workpiece. And we're going to be entering multi-tool coordinates into the tool table. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set machine home. We don't have any limit switches hooked up here, so we could set home wherever we wish. I kind of like it up north here, and run the Z out to the end of the ways. This way, everything that comes my way now is positive, and everything that goes back toward the wall is negative. In other words, this is my spindle center. Everything on this side of the spindle is going to be plus, and everything on this side of the spindle is going to be minus. After we moved our machine to the selected home position, we'll come over here to the Mach 3 screen, and right over here where it says set X home and set Z home. In our next step, we're going to set our tool bit height in relationship to the workpiece. I have here a 10,000th feeler gauge, and I put a 1/4 inch pin. This happens to be a drill rod, but you can use a dowel pin, but it's 250 thousandths. And plus we have 10 thousandths here, and we're going to set the center height of this tool. Kind of eyeballed it pretty close right there. Now we're going to go ahead and move over to the tool table screen. We're going to click on our tool table editor, and we're going to make sure we have nothing in here whatsoever. Nothing. Click apply just to make sure. Okay, everything is zeroed out. Now on our keyboard, we're going to push the tab button, and the jog screen will come up. We're going to work just with the jog mode right now. I have the steps in the step mode set to 3 thousandths each step. You can set it for whatever you want, but I have 3 thousandths. And we're going to click the jog mode into step. So every time I hit my key, I'm going to go 3 thousandths of an inch. Now we're going to put our feeler gauge in here, our 10 thousandths feeler gauge, and we're going to move it down until it sits just by itself. And the whole idea is to get this thing where it is vertical, up and down. If it leans slightly this way, that means it's a bit too high. If it leans this way, it's a bit too low. And this one appears to be right on the money. Very nice. And you can use this adjusting screw right here, up and down. You have to play with it for a little bit, but you'll get it. Now, this is 250 thousandths, this pin. This is a 10 thousandth feeler gauge. So you would think that we have 260 thousandths. But the truth of the matter is we are in the diameter mode. So whatever we add here has to be added here. So actually, the size of this right now is 270 thousandths. You got 10 and 10 in the diameter mode. Now we're going to go back to our screen. Now the first thing we're going to do in our tool table screen is we're going to move the jog mode back to continuous. Then we're going to push the tab button and get rid of that. Now over here you'll notice that we typed in tool number 1. We did this before we set up tool number 1. I want to make sure you do that. So here's tool number 1, and I called it the turn tool. And if I click my table editor, I can call it whatever I want. You could just click it and hit delete, and you could type in KKKK or PPP, whatever you want. But in this case, we're going to call it turn. There we go. We have all zeros here, we have nothing. And we're going to click apply, that means otherwise it won't stick. So we got turn, apply, okay. Now it's our turn tool, it's number 1. Now down here, we're going to type in minus 0.270 and click enter, just like so. This is the size of the part that's in the spindle right now. We have 250 plus 10 thousandths feeler gauge, and we're in the diameter mode, so we have 10 thousandths for the other side, so that's 250 plus 20 is 270 in the minus side of the spindle. We're coming over here and we're going to touch X. Right here we have our coordinates at minus 0.270 thousandths. That's the size of it right there. Now we haven't done the Z yet. We could do that after we get the part in, but let's do it right now. The first thing we'll do is we'll scoot this up out of the way and take out my 10 thousandths feeler gauge. And we'll back it up some. And you can use a feeler gauge if you wish, or you could just eyeball it. There we go. That's pretty close right there. Back in our tool table, right here we have the Z, and we've set our Z to what we wanted to be Z0. So we could leave it right there, and we come over here to touch Z, and here we have up here axis coordinates. Now we're at 0. Now let's take a look at our tool table editor, and you'll notice that right here, tool number 1, we called it our turn tool. Our X offset has the correct number here, and our Z offset is right here. We can click OK, we can click apply, then OK, doesn't matter at this point, and we're good to go for tool number 1. Let's move this out of the way. And let's check our work. We have tool number 1, offset 1. Type that in right here. Enter. G00, rapid movement. Enter. You could put this all on one line, but this way is better for now. And we want to go X minus 0.300 to get on the north side, and Z 20 thousandths. And we'll push enter. And there we are. Let's go ahead now and send the machine back home. We're going to home the Z. And let's home the X. There we go. Now let's type in tool number 2. There we go. Tool number 2. And we'll go to our tool table. And let's set up tool number 2. For tool number 2, drilling, boring, put an end mill in there. As you can see, we put a dial indicator in the spindle, and we run it down, and we went back and forth, and we've got this thing dead center. That would be X0 right there. And the Z would be, of course, wherever we wanted to put it. So right now we have X0. It is exactly in the middle of our spindle right there. And let's bring it down a little bit. And we're going to say that's going to be our Z0. Over in our tool table, we're going to press tab and we're going to get rid of our step mode. We've got tool number 2. And right now, over here, this is going to be X0. So we highlight this, type in 0, enter. And we already know that we moved it and we said that where we are now is going to be Z0. So then we come over here, we touch X, tool number 2, we touch X, 0, we touch Z, 0. Let's check our tool table. And here we have tool number 2. See, this is called empty. Let's call this drill. Enter. We have our coordinates set right there. Apply. OK. And there's tool number 2. It's our drill, and we are now set up for tools 1 and 2. Tool number 3 would be the same as tool number 1. Just as a test, we could see where we have tool number 2. And let's send the machine back home for right now. Z home, X home. There we go. Manual input. Let's go tool 2, offset 2, enter. G00, enter. X0, Z0. And we click enter. Bingo. We're good to go. Now everything we've done here today is on a very basic level. This is just to get you started, give you some idea.